The alarms begin screaming before the ocean does. Red lights flare across a subterranean command center as seismic graphs spike violently upward, needles tearing past safe thresholds. Satellite feeds stutter, recalibrate, then lock onto a single point in the Pacific. Water bulging unnaturally, as if the planet itself is drawing a breath. Rain lashes the surface above, hammering the sea into froth. The horizon darkens, clouds spiraling inward, thunder rolling low and constant, not cracking but groaning. Then the ocean breaks. Godzilla rises. Not in fury, not yet. His massive dorsal plates slice through the water one by one, igniting with a faint radioactive glow that turns the rain into hissing steam. Each movement sends waves racing toward distant shores. Cargo ships tilt helplessly, alarms blaring as crews stare up at something too vast to process. Deep beneath cities and coastlines, radiation sensors overload, nuclear detection systems, built for warheads and reactor failures, begin screaming in languages of data no one has words for. Governments scramble, defense networks awaken from cold standby. Somewhere, someone whispers the same name. Humanity has never truly forgotten. Godzilla stands still, water cascading from his scales, eyes scanning the horizon, like a monarch reclaiming a throne that never stopped being his. Far above, satellites pivot, lenses narrowing, feeding live images into war rooms across the world. Generals argue, scientists argue harder. Is he migrating? Is he provoked? Is this an attack? Godzilla does not answer. He simply exists. And that is enough to terrify the planet. As minutes stretch into hours, the radiation spikes continue to climb. They don't pulse like a weapon. They broadcast, a low, constant signature pouring into the atmosphere, bleeding through the magnetosphere, echoing outward into the void. And something hears it. Light years away, in the silence between stars, a different kind of chamber glows dimly green. Alien glyphs scroll across curved holographic surfaces, tracking energy fluctuations that do not belong to suns or supernovas. A Yautja clan ship drifts in orbit around a dying star, ancient and scarred, its hull etched with the marks of past hunts. Inside, the air vibrates with a deep, resonant hum as scanners react, slow at first, then accelerating. A signal has been found. Hunters gather around the projection, a rotating sphere, blue and alive, overlaid with violent radiation spikes that dwarf anything in the surrounding systems. The data scrolls faster now, symbols sharpening, resolving into meaning. Not prey, not civilization. A challenge. One figure steps forward, taller than the others, armor marked by faded trophies and ritual scars. His mandibles twitch subtly as the data reflects across his biomask. This is no young blood seeking glory. This is a veteran, a survivor of hunts that erased entire species from memory. The signal pulses again, stronger. The hunter's gauntlet tightens into a fist. On the hologram, Godzilla's silhouette resolves, towering, unmistakable. A living reactor, a walking extinction event. Something that should not exist, and yet does. The clan murmurs in low, rumbling tones. Some turn away, others watch in reverent silence. Even among Yautja, there are things best left untouched. The veteran does not look away. He reaches to his wrist, activates a recorder. The image of Godzilla freezes mid-roar, energy bleeding along his dorsal plates. The hunter tilts his head, studying the creature not with fear but calculation. Back on Earth, Godzilla releases a single thunderous roar. It rolls across the ocean, rattles windows hundreds of miles away, sets off car alarms in cities he cannot see. The sound sinks into the crust of the planet, a declaration older than language. The radiation spike peaks. In orbit, The Yautja ship's engines power up for the first time in centuries. Massive thrusters glow, bending space as ancient technology awakens. Weapon systems remain offline, cloaks remain engaged. This is not an invasion, it is a hunt. The veteran hunter turns from the hologram and walks toward a waiting drop pod, armor locking into place with heavy, deliberate clicks. His mask lowers, sealing with a hiss, lenses glowing faintly as targeting systems begin adapting, already learning. The ship pivots, aligning with the distant blue world. Godzilla lowers his head toward the dark horizon, unaware that his awakening has echoed beyond the stars. The pod launches. Earth, still reeling from the return of its king, does not see what falls silently toward it. But somewhere in the atmosphere, the hunter smiles behind a mask, having finally found a god worthy of pursuit. The evacuation sirens fail before the people do. Along the coastline, phones vibrate endlessly, alerts stacking on top of alerts, while traffic grinds into immobility. Helicopters claw through rain-heavy skies, spotlights cutting frantic cones across streets, already flooding with seawater. The ocean has pulled back too far, too fast, exposing slick, black rock and thrashing debris where the tide should be. Then the ground moves. A deep subsonic tremor rolls beneath the city, not an explosion but a pressure, like something enormous shifting its weight below the crust. Buildings shudder. Glass fractures in long spiderweb cracks. Somewhere a bridge gives way with a sound like tearing metal skin. Out past the breakwater, the water begins to boil. Godzilla rises again, closer now, close enough that individual scales catch the city's lights, reflecting them back in dull radioactive hues. He does not charge. He does not roar. He simply steps forward, each footfall displacing millions of tons of water, sending controlled waves surging into the harbor. People scream anyway, have you? Military aircraft streak in from the horizon, jets screaming low over the water. Targeting systems lock, unlock, lock again as pilots struggle to reconcile scale with threat. In underground command centers, voices overlap in clipped urgency. Hold fire! No, you don't understand. He's moving toward the city. He's not attacking, he's reacting. Godzilla stops just offshore, massive head lowering slightly, eyes fixed not on the skyline, but beneath it. His dorsal plates pulse faintly, not charging, but resonating, as if responding to something buried deep under concrete and steel. Below the streets, far beneath subway tunnels and forgotten foundations, ancient fault lines groan. Human infrastructure presses into places it was never meant to reach. Power grids overload, reactors hum, sonar stations scream with interference they cannot isolate. Godzilla releases a low rumble, not a roar, a warning. The sound rolls through the city like an earthquake made of sound. Some buildings collapse, others survive, swaying violently. People fall to their knees, hands over ears, eyes wide with primal terror. And then, finally, the military fires. Missiles streak in, arcing white trails through the rain. They impact against Godzilla's shoulder, his chest, his neck, blossoming into fireballs that briefly paint his silhouette in orange and black. The shockwaves slam into the city, shattering windows miles inland. When the smoke clears, Godzilla remains. He turns his head slowly towards the aircraft, eyes narrowing, not in rage, but irritated. A single step forward sends a wave crashing through the harbor, capsizing ships like toys. Jets peel away as targeting locks vanish under electromagnetic chaos. Godzilla does not pursue them. Instead, he pivots, placing his bulk squarely between the city and the ocean trench beyond. His tail drags through the water, carving a new shoreline. His posture changes, subtle but unmistakable. He is not attacking. He is claiming. In government chambers across the world, arguments explode. Some demand escalation. Others call for retreat, containment, negotiation, if such a thing is even possible. Scientists shout over generals, insisting Godzilla is responding to disturbances humans cannot perceive. Forces unleashed by drilling, by reactors, by arrogance. None of it matters to the people watching from rooftops and shelters as the king of the monsters stands sentinel at their doorstep. Hours pass. Rain slows, fires burn themselves out. Godzilla remains motionless, a living wall of muscle and ancient power. The city limps, bleeding but standing, its survival owed not to weapons, but to restraint. Then, slowly, Godzilla begins to sink. Not retreating, descending. His massive form lowers into the water until only his dorsal plates remain visible, glowing faintly like submerged towers. The sea closes over him, swallowing his bulk until the surface calms, deceptively peaceful. Relief ripples through the city. Too early. Deep beneath the streets, the pressure eases but does not vanish. Godzilla is still there, beneath the cities, beneath humanity's feet. And high above, far beyond the reach of radar or telescope, something adjusts its trajectory. A faint shimmer distorts the clouds for just a moment, gone, before anyone can point it out. No alarms sound, no systems register the anomaly. But unseen eyes observe the coastline below, locking onto the place where a god has chosen to stand his ground. The hunt watches, and Earth, unaware, holds its breath. The drop pod disengages without a sound. No alarms, no flare of light, just a controlled release into the black, the small vessel falling away from the cloaked ship like a discarded thought. Earth swells beneath it, blue, violent, alive, its storms crawling across the surface like open wounds. Inside the pod, the hunter does not move. Strapped into a cradle of dark metal, the Yautja veteran breathes slowly, rhythm steady, heart unhurried. His armor is heavier than standard issue, layered with reinforced plating, etched in old clan markings. Kills earned, hunts survived. Across his chest hangs a single trophy, a jagged fragment of bone from a creature no longer found in any known system. The pod shudders as it enters atmosphere. Heat builds along the hull, plasma licking at its surface, but the hunter remains still. His mask activates, lenses flaring to life as targeting systems awaken. Data scrolls across his vision: planetary gravity, atmospheric density, electromagnetic interference. Earth resists him, even now. A warning glyph flashes. Radiation levels beyond projected norms. The hunter's mandibles flex slightly. Good. He reaches to his gauntlet and rotates a dial sealed beneath ritual bindings. A compartment opens, revealing technology no young blood would be trusted to wield, experimental, unproven. Built not for xenomorphs, not for soldiers, but for entities that bend the rules of existence simply by breathing. Energy weapons recalibrate. Cloaking systems adjust for scale distortion. A new symbol appears on the HUD, a stylized silhouette, massive, spined, unmistakable. Godzilla. The hunter pauses the feed and studies the image. Cities burn around the creature in the recorded footage, not from its attack, but from humanity's fear. Missiles impact and vanish against ancient flesh. Godzilla does not fall. He endures. The clan council's voices echo in the hunter's memory, low, disapproving rumbles. This hunt is forbidden. This prey is not meant to be claimed. There is no honor in provoking a god. The hunter silenced them with action, not words. He had stood alone in the chamber, removed his mask, and carved a new mark into his armor, declaring a solitary hunt. No clan support, no shared glory, victory or death, claimed by him alone. The pod drops lower. Through the narrow viewport, lightning blooms across storm clouds far below, illuminating the coastline Godzilla now guards. The hunter watches as dorsal plates glow faintly beneath the waves, a submerged crown marking a living throne. His breathing deepens, not from fear but from focus. This is no ceremonial hunt. There will be no testing phase, no ritual escalation. The prey has already proven its dominance. The hunter taps a control. A hologram blooms inside the pod, a rotating projection of Godzilla's anatomy, layered with speculative weak points. None are confirmed. All are theoretical. Every strike will be a gamble. The hunter tilts his head, considering it. Then he deactivates the simulation. He does not hunt gods on theory. The pod hits turbulence, rattling violently as it cuts through a thunderhead. Rain streaks across the viewport, instantly vaporized by heat. The hunter's claws tighten against the restraints as gravity asserts itself harder, faster. Altitude warnings flash. The hunter reaches up and pulls his mask free for a moment. His eyes are dark, focused, reflecting the storm outside. Old scars trace his face, proof of past failures, not triumphs. He bares his mandibles slightly, a silent vow spoken only to himself. Not for the clan, not for trophies, for truth. The pod's underside opens. The ground rushes up, jungle bleeding into coastline, city lights flickering beyond the trees. At the last possible second, the pod's descent systems engage, slowing the fall just enough to survive impact. The crash is violent. Earth explodes upward as the pod slams into a remote forested region miles from the city. Trees snap. Soil vaporizes. The pod buries itself halfway into the ground, steam hissing from ruptured earth. Silence follows. Then the hatch blows open. The hunter steps out into the rain, cloak flickering on and off as it recalibrates to Earth's atmosphere. He straightens slowly, towering and solid, water streaming off his armor. In the distance, Godzilla's presence is felt rather than seen, a low vibration through the ground, a pressure in the air, a reminder of scale. The hunter looks towards the coastline. He raises his wrist and activates a final system. A thin, almost invisible beam pulses outward, locking onto the Titan's radiation signature. Tracking confirmed. The hunter lowers his arm. This hunt will not follow tradition. This hunt will not end cleanly. Somewhere beneath the cities, a god stirs. And in the rain-soaked wilderness, a hunter begins walking toward him, having chosen a prey no one was ever meant to challenge. The convoy vanishes in under 30 seconds. Night vision cameras capture the lead vehicle slowing on a rain-soaked mountain road, headlights cutting through fog. A radio crackles, static, then a sharp intake of breath. The feed jolts violently as something invisible lands atop the armored truck. Metal shrieks, the camera cuts out. By the time rescue teams arrive, the road is empty. No wreckage, no bodies. Just deep, circular gouges in the asphalt, burned clean through like the surface was melted rather than torn. Trees nearby are shredded at precise angles, trunks sliced as if measured first. Whatever hit the convoy did not linger. Across the world, similar reports begin to stack. A desert research facility goes dark mid-transmission. Drones sent to investigate never return, their signals blinking out one by one over empty air. A naval reconnaissance aircraft loses altitude suddenly, spiraling into the sea after reporting a visual distortion moving against the clouds. Analysts call it coincidence. Then the footage arrives. In a command center lit by cold monitors and sleepless eyes, Technicians slow a drone feed frame by frame. At first, there's nothing, just jungle canopy rippling under wind and rain. Then someone zooms in. A shape, tall, upright. For a single frame, light bends around it. The silhouette is wrong, too narrow at the waist, too broad at the shoulders. Heat signatures flicker and vanish as if something is actively erasing itself from the spectrum. Enhance that, a voice whispers, already afraid of the answer. The shape moves, not charging, not fleeing, relocating, with deliberate efficiency. The camera shakes as the drone tries to track it, and then the feed explodes into white noise as a concentrated energy blast punches through the lens. The drone falls. Elsewhere, soldiers die without ever seeing what killed them. A forward operating base near the coastline goes silent just before dawn. The perimeter sensors detect motion, then nothing. When a response team arrives, they find bodies where they stood, weapons still in hand, armor pierced clean through at the chest. No bullet casings, no blast marks. One survivor is found barely alive beneath a collapsed wall, eyes wide and unfocused. He keeps repeating the same sentence, over and over. It was right there. It was right there and it wasn't. Doctors sedate him before he can say more. In war rooms across the globe, accusations fly. Nations point fingers, covert warfare, they argue, advanced cloaking tech, experimental weapons. Someone is testing something new under cover of the chaos Godzilla has created. No one mentions aliens. High above the clouds, unseen, a cloaked figure watches military movements shift in response. Satellites are repositioned. Patrol routes adjusted, defensive lines redrawn. The hunter adapts with them. In a ruined industrial zone miles from the city, rain drips through shattered concrete. The hunter moves through the shadows, cloak shimmering faintly as it compensates for artificial light. His mask displays a web of data. Human patrol patterns, drone frequencies, response times. He is not slaughtering indiscriminately. He is clearing the board. A squad of soldiers advances cautiously between rusted structures, rifles raised. Their thermal scopes show nothing but cooling rain. The hunter waits until they are perfectly spaced, then strikes. A wrist blade extends with a quiet metallic whisper. One soldier falls without a sound. Another turns, firing wildly as a plasma bolt tears through his chest, cauterizing the wound instantly. The rest scatter, shouting into radios that fill only with static. Within seconds, it's over. The hunter stands alone among the fallen, rain washing blood into the cracks of the earth. He studies the bodies briefly, not as trophies, but as data. Humans are not the prey. They are variables. He activates a recorder and uploads combat metrics, damage thresholds, weapon effectiveness, reaction times. None of it impresses him. Far away, beneath the coastline, Godzilla shifts. The hunter pauses mid-step as the ground vibrates faintly beneath his feet. His mask flickers, recalibrating, as a massive radiation spike ripples through the area. Godzilla is moving, slowly, deliberately. The hunter looks towards the city lights glowing on the horizon. Not yet. Back in the command center, analysts finally connect the dots. The incidents are too precise, too clean, too consistent. Someone overlays the data. Attack locations forming a loose arc between Godzilla's territory and major human installations. A silence falls over the room. That's not escalation, someone murmurs. That's positioning. The footage plays again, the distorted shape between frames, the light bending wrong. Zoomed in further now, a single still image freezes on screen. For the briefest moment, something stands between humanity and the god it fears, watching both. And somewhere in the darkness, unseen eyes lock onto Godzilla's trail as the hunter finishes his preparations. First blood has been drawn, and it was never meant to be human. Godzilla moves without warning. The ocean explodes upward as his massive form surges from beneath the surface, water cascading off his shoulders in sheets. The sudden movement triggers alarms along the coastline. Sonar stations spike, satellites scramble to reacquire visual, but none of that is what matters. Godzilla is not responding to humanity. He is responding to something else. His head turns slowly, scanning the shoreline. The forests beyond, the city lights flickering in the distance. His dorsal plates pulse, not charging, not flaring, but resonating, emitting a low-frequency hum that vibrates through the water and stone alike. Deep underground, instruments shake loose from their mounts. Scientists watch their screens fill with erratic data, readings that don't align with any known behavior pattern. Godzilla's movements are changing. He takes a step inland. The ground buckles beneath his weight, roads fracturing, buildings groaning as foundations shift. Evacuation orders scream across emergency channels, but the Titan does not advance toward population centers with the blind certainty of destruction. He circles. From above, it looks almost deliberate. Godzilla pacing the edge of his territory like a predator, aware of an intruder it cannot yet see. His tail drags through streets and parks, carving trenches through concrete. His head lowers close to the ground, nostrils flaring as if tasting the air. Something is wrong. In the rain-soaked outskirts, the hunter freezes mid-stride. His cloak shimmers, then steadies, as his mask flashes a warning glyph. Massive bioenergy surge detected. The ground beneath him vibrates faintly, each pulse traveling up through his boots and into his bones. Godzilla has noticed. The hunter does not move. He lowers himself behind the shattered remains of a concrete overpass, posture tight, controlled. His targeting systems light up, tracking the Titan's shifting position as Godzilla turns, slowly, towards the hunter's general direction. Distance still separates them. Miles of ruined city and forest, but that distance feels suddenly meaningless. Godzilla releases a low, resonant growl, not a roar, but a challenge. The sound ripples outward, flattening trees, shattering windows, sending birds screaming into the sky. It is not aimed at humans. It is aimed at the unknown. The hunter's mandibles flex beneath his mask. He adjusts the setting on his gauntlet, dampening his energy output, suppressing even the faintest electromagnetic signature. His technology was built to evade sensors, but this is different. Godzilla is not tracking heat or sound. He is feeling. Back in the city, people feel it too. The air grows heavy, charged, streetlights flicker. Power grids stutter as if something enormous is pulling at the planet's lifeblood. Dogs whine and refuse to move. Birds slam into buildings, disoriented. Godzilla stops. He stands perfectly still, head tilted slightly, eyes narrowed. Rain beads along his scales, steam rising where it touches the faint glow beneath his skin. For a long moment, the world holds its breath. Then he turns sharply to the east. He moves with sudden speed, crashing through a cluster of abandoned high-rises, sending them collapsing in controlled arcs rather than random destruction. His path is not straight, but it is intentional. He is cutting off angles, limiting unseen movement. Godzilla is hunting. The hunter retreats, not in panic, but in calculation. He moves laterally, leaping across rooftops, cloak flickering as it compensates for sudden motion. His mask projects Godzilla's trajectory in real time, updating faster now, more accurately. The Titan is learning. A shockwave ripples through the air as Godzilla slams his tail into the ground, sending a wave of debris outward. The hunter barely avoids it, dropping behind a shattered office tower as concrete rains down around him. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the hunter feels something close to caution. This prey does not stumble blindly into traps. It does not rely on instinct alone. It adapts fast. Godzilla lifts his head and roars. This time, the sound is different. It carries intent. It echoes through the hunter's armor, rattling his bones, forcing his systems to recalibrate. The roar is not a warning. It is a declaration. I am here. I see you. Come closer. The hunter steadies himself, claws digging into concrete. He watches as Godzilla's dorsal plates flare briefly, just enough to illuminate the rain and ruin around him in ghostly blue light. For a fleeting moment, predator and prey are aware of each other across the battlefield. No weapons fire, no direct contact, just recognition. High above, satellites capture Godzilla's erratic movements, analysts arguing over why the Titan has abandoned predictable patterns. None of them understand the truth. Godzilla is no longer alone at the top. He lowers himself back towards the Earth, muscles coiling, eyes locked on the darkness where something intelligent dares to watch him. In the ruins, the hunter activates a final scan and records the data with reverent precision. This is not a monster reacting to fear. This is a god responding to a challenge. And for the first time in his long reign, Godzilla is not the only apex presence on the battlefield. The first probe hits the water without a ripple. It slips beneath the surface like a thought unspoken, its cloaking field bending light and sound as it descends toward the glowing shadow below. Sensors wake in silence, mapping pressure, radiation, heat, data flooding back to a single receiver hidden miles inland. Godzilla moves through the shallows, massive and deliberate, each step sending tremors through the seabed. His dorsal plates pulse faintly, casting ghostly light through the murk. He is not searching blindly now. He is listening. High above the waterline, rain needles through the night. From a collapsed high-rise overlooking the coast, the hunter watches. His cloak hums softly, struggling against the electromagnetic storm radiating from the Titan. The hunter adjusts, fingers moving with ritual precision across his gauntlet. Small, angular drones detach from his armor and lift silently into the air, their silhouettes vanishing as cloaks engage. They spread out a widening net. One drone skims the surface, another climbs high into the clouds, a third burrows into the ruined streets along the shoreline. Each one feeds him a different angle of the same impossible prey. Godzilla stops. The water around him stills, steam rising where heat meets rain. His head lifts slowly, eyes narrowing, as the air itself seems to shift. The probe beneath him spikes with warnings: pressure surge, bioenergy fluctuation, neural activity beyond predicted baselines. The hunter does not fire. Not yet. He launches a second probe, this one harder to hide. It streaks downward from the clouds, plunging into the sea 100 meters from Godzilla's flank. The impact finally draws a response. Godzilla turns. Not in panic, not in rage. With the calm inevitability of a force correcting imbalance. A low growl rolls from his chest, vibrating the water into ripples that race outward. The probes scream data. Muscle density readings climb off the scale. Regenerative response activates instantly, microfractures sealing as fast as they form. The hunter's mask overlays potential strike zones in flickering red, then eliminates them one by one. This body is not armored. It is engineered. The hunter's mandibles tighten. He selects a new weapon. From his shoulder cannon, energy coils build, not to full power but carefully throttled, a test, a whisper, not a shout. The targeting reticle locks onto Godzilla's upper shoulder, where plates overlap and movement creates momentary gaps. The hunter exhales. The plasma bolt lances out. It crosses the distance in less than a second, striking Godzilla with a flash of blinding white-blue light. The impact throws steam and water skyward, a contained explosion rippling across the surface. Godzilla roars. The sound is immediate, violent, shaking the coastline and rattling the hunter's armor. The Titan staggers half a step, just one, before planting his feet again. Smoke rolls off his shoulder, flesh blackened, scales cracked and glowing at the edges. The hunter freezes. The wound is small, insignificant by Titan standards, but it is real. Godzilla turns fully now, eyes blazing, dorsal plates flaring brighter. As radiation surges through his body, the water around him begins to churn, pulled by forces deeper than gravity. The drones scatter as Godzilla's attention locks onto the source. The hunter's systems scream warnings. Energy levels spike beyond safe margins. The Titan is not just reacting, he is preparing. Godzilla unleashes a pulse, not his full atomic breath, but a directed surge of energy that rips it through the air. The water detonates upward, a towering wall of steam and debris racing toward the shore. The hunter dives as the shockwave slams into the building, tearing concrete from steel and hurling him backward through the ruins. He hits hard, rolling to a stop as his cloak flickers violently, struggling to maintain concealment. For a moment there is only rain and ringing silence. The hunter rises slowly, systems stabilizing. He checks his feeds, 2 drones destroyed, 1 limping but functional. The probe beneath the water is gone, vaporized. Godzilla stands amid the chaos, steam pouring off his body and the wound on his shoulder already sealing, scales knitting back together with terrifying speed. But not perfectly. The hunter zooms in. Scar tissue remains, a faint discoloration, a memory etched into godflesh. The hunter's breathing deepens, not from fear, but from understanding. He activates his recorder and marks the data with a symbol reserved for rare prey. Damage possible. Adaptation required. Godzilla roars again, this time directly toward the shore, toward the place where the hunter hides. His eyes burn with recognition now, not confusion. Challenge answered. The hunter steps back into the shadows, cloak stabilizing as he withdraws deeper into the ruins. He does not pursue. He does not press the attack. The test is complete. Behind him, Godzilla's dorsal plates blaze brighter, the sea around him boiling as energy builds to levels unseen. The Titan has been wounded, slightly briefly, but enough. Enough to change everything. The hunter looks once more toward the glowing shoreline. This prey will not fall easily. But now, beyond doubt, the hunter knows the truth. Gods can bleed. The city burns because the sky flinches. A thunderhead collapses inward as Godzilla pivots along the coast, his dorsal plates flaring brighter with every step. He does not aim at buildings. He does not need to. The energy rolling off him turns rain into scalding mist and shatters glass in expanding rings. A hospital loses power. A refinery ignites. Streets buckle as if the earth itself is trying to crawl away. People run with no direction, clutching children, dragging strangers from fallen cars. Sirens wail until they choke on static. Godzilla roars, and the sound hits the city like a physical blow. High above, fighter jets streak through the clouds, pilots fighting turbulence that isn't weather. Targeting systems fail and reinitialize, fail again. Below them, something else moves. A bridge detonates, not from Godzilla's tail, but from a precise cut along its central support. The explosion is clean, almost surgical. The structure folds inward exactly where it shouldn't, collapsing into the river in a controlled arc. On the ground, soldiers stare at the smoking remains. "That wasn't him," someone says, voice thin with disbelief. Before anyone can answer, a pulse of blue-white light slices through the air 3 blocks away. A tank's turret shears off as if cut by an invisible blade, metal edges glowing red-hot for a heartbeat before cooling. No debris, no shrapnel pattern, just absence. Godzilla turns sharply towards the flash. His response is immediate and catastrophic. He slams his foot down and the ground splits open, sending a shockwave racing through underground transit tunnels. Trains derail, subways flood. Above, a cluster of high-rises collapses inward, their facades peeling away like paper. Godzilla fires. The atomic breath tears across the sky, not a sustained beam but a sweeping arc that vaporizes rain and air alike. It clips the tops of buildings, carving molten scars across rooftops and sending firestorms spiraling outward. He is not aiming at the city. He is aiming through it. In a hardened command bunker miles away, screens overload as feeds from every angle collide. Analysts shout over one another, pulling up thermal imagery, radiation maps, weapon impact models. "These cuts, look at the precision," a technician says, highlighting a bridge collapse, then a downed drone, then a gutted armored convoy. "This isn't any known weapon." "Focus on the Titan," a general snaps. "He's the one leveling cities." A scientist shakes her head, fingers flying across a console. "Sir, the energy signatures don't match. Some of these strikes are clean. No residual radiation, no explosive bloom. It's like..." She hesitates. "Like something is choosing what to destroy." The room goes quiet. On a satellite feed slowed to a crawl, the image stutters, then resolves. Between frames, light bends wrong. A distortion moves laterally across a rooftop as Godzilla's beam passes overhead. For a fraction of a second, a silhouette flickers into existence, tall, angular, armed. The feed cuts. Outside, the hunter moves through the chaos like a ghost through smoke. His cloak strains against the electromagnetic storm Godzilla generates, flickering dangerously as he relocates from ruin to ruin. He fires only when necessary, short, precise bursts that sever supply lines, blind sensors, collapse paths Godzilla might use to close distance too quickly. This is not an attack on humanity. It is terrain control. A Predator drone dives low, skimming through fire and debris to tag Godzilla's flank with a tracking pulse. The Titan twists, tail obliterating a city block as the drone vanishes into nothingness. The pulse holds. Godzilla senses it and grows angrier. He charges inland, every step a calculated gamble through human territory. Buildings fall, power grids die. The air becomes unbreathable as dust and ash choke the streets. People watch from shelters and shattered windows, realizing something horrifying. Godzilla isn't rampaging. He's being drawn. In the bunker, a new map overlays the destruction. The pattern becomes undeniable: arcs, funnels, redirected paths. Someone has shaped the battlefield using cities as collateral. "We're not the target," the scientist whispers. "We're the environment." A missile barrage launches anyway, last-ditch, desperate. Warheads streak in and detonate against Godzilla's chest, lighting him up like a dying sun. When the smoke clears, he is still moving. He roars again, louder than before, the sound carrying rage and warning in equal measure. Somewhere in the ruins, the hunter pauses, watching the Titan advance along the path he's been nudged onto. His mask displays cascading data, damage thresholds, energy spikes, behavioral shifts. Humanity's weapons register as noise. Godzilla's power registers as truth. The hunter marks another strike zone, then stops, his mandibles tighten as he studies the city, burning, collapsing, screaming. This is the cost. In command centers across the world, leaders finally speak the words they've avoided. There are two threats. Outside, Godzilla smashes through a stadium, the structure collapsing around him as if offering itself in sacrifice. The hunter vanishes into the smoke, repositioning unseen. Humanity watches its cities fall, its weapons fail, its assumptions die. The war has already begun, and they are not invited. The distance collapses in a single decision. Rain hammers the ruined industrial district as Godzilla advances through shattered refineries, steel towers bending around his shoulders like brittle reeds. Firelight flickers across his scales, reflecting in pools of burning fuel that spread across cracked concrete. Every step sends shockwaves through the ground, measured, deliberate, furious. Above him, unseen, the hunter moves. The predator drops from a collapsing crane, cloak disengaging, mid-fall. Gravity screams past as he lands hard against Godzilla's shoulder, boots skidding across living armor hot enough to scorch metal. His claws dig in, sparks flying as they scrape against scales tougher than battleship plating. For the first time, Hunter and God make direct contact. Godzilla roars in shock and rage, the sound tearing through the skyline. His massive arm swings back instinctively, but the hunter is already moving, leaping, climbing, adapting, using Godzilla's own momentum to stay ahead of crushing blows. The hunter drives a blade into a seam between dorsal plates. The weapon bites. Godzilla howls. Blue energy surges violently along his spine as the blade carves a shallow wound, superheated blood sizzling against the rain. It is not deep, it is not lethal, but it is close. The hunter locks his arm and slams a small disc-shaped device into the wound. It anchors instantly, claws burrowing into regenerating flesh before Godzilla's body can reject it. The tracker activates. Godzilla bucks violently, slamming his shoulder into a tower and reducing it to molten debris. The hunter barely holds on as the world spins, metal screaming, fire erupting around them. Godzilla reaches back again, this time with intent. His claws connect. The impact sends the hunter flying. He crashes through 3 levels of concrete and steel before skidding across the flooded ground, cloak flickering wildly as systems overload. He rolls to a knee just as Godzilla's foot slams down where he stood moments earlier, the ground exploding outward in a crater of fire and stone. Godzilla does not hesitate. He lunges forward, jaws snapping shut inches from the hunter's head. Heat washes over the predator as atomic energy builds in Godzilla's throat. Not fully charged, but raw and unstable. The hunter fires point blank. A concentrated plasma blast strikes Godzilla's lower jaw, forcing his head sideways in a violent snap. The beam scars flesh, cracking teeth, sending superheated fragments raining across the battlefield. Godzilla recoils, then explodes with fury. He slams both fists into the ground, unleashing a shockwave that rips the earth apart in a widening ring. The hunter is thrown again, armor screaming as it absorbs damage meant to pulp him instantly. Buildings collapse inward, fires detonating, as fuel lines rupture beneath the streets. Godzilla charges. No caution now, no restraint, just instinct and wrath. The hunter rises unsteadily, systems flashing red, warning after warning, stacking across his vision. He triggers drones and decoys simultaneously, false signatures bursting into existence around the battlefield, but Godzilla ignores them. He is locked onto the real thing. Godzilla's tail whips through the smoke, catching the hunter mid-jump and smashing him through a concrete wall. The predator crashes into an underground service tunnel, skidding through water and debris as lights explode overhead. For the first time in his long life, the hunter feels it. Not fear. Pressure. Godzilla drops to one knee above the tunnel entrance and fires. Atomic breath floods the passage in blinding blue light, vaporizing water, steel, and stone in an instant. The hunter barely dives deeper as the tunnel behind him collapses into molten slag, the heat washing over his armor like a living thing. His cloak dies. Systems fail. The hunter runs. He sprints through darkness and steam, boots pounding against shaking ground, as Godzilla tears the world apart above him, ripping through streets, smashing down into the tunnel network, forcing collapse after collapse. This is not a chase. This is an execution attempt. The hunter triggers a final charge and blasts upward through a maintenance shaft, bursting into the open air just as Godzilla's claws tear through the ground behind him. The predator launches himself across a canal as Godzilla's atomic breath scorches the water into steam beneath him. He lands hard, rolling into cover as the tracker signal pulses steadily in his HUD. Locked, active, permanent. Godzilla roars again, louder than before, the sound shaking the clouds themselves. He stands amid the ruins, chest heaving, energy rolling off him in violent waves. The tracker embedded in his flesh glows faintly before disappearing beneath regenerating scales. Godzilla knows it's there. He lifts his head and looks directly toward the hunter's last position, eyes blazing, memory seared into his ancient mind. The hunter retreats into the darkness, wounded but alive, systems stabilizing just enough to survive. He pauses only once, crouched beneath a collapsed overpass, rain washing blood from his armor. He studies the tracking data. He studies the damage report. Then he looks back toward the burning skyline where Godzilla stands, unchallenged, furious, alive. The trophy cannot be taken. Not yet. But now something irreversible has been forged. This is no longer a hunt. It is a rivalry, and neither god nor hunter will ever walk away from it. The city is warned, but Godzilla does not wait. At dawn, the shoreline erupts as Godzilla rises from the smoke-choked sea, water cascading off his scars in steaming sheets. The wound along his dorsal plates has sealed, but the memory hasn't. His movements are sharper now, faster. Each step inland is an act of dominance, not balance. Sirens scream, helicopters scatter like insects. A cargo ship strays too close. Godzilla turns. There is no hesitation, no warning roar. His tail lashes out and cleaves the vessel in half, steel tearing like paper. The explosion blooms orange against his chest, meaningless. He keeps moving, eyes scanning the skyline, senses stretched wide. This territory has been violated, and he will cleanse it. Tanks open fire from a barricade miles ahead. Shells slam against his legs, cracking pavement, chipping scales that instantly begin to regenerate. Godzilla stops, slowly, deliberately. He looks down at the humans, tiny, frantic, defiant. Then he charges. Atomic breath detonates the barricade in a blinding arc of blue-white fire. Vehicles vanish, concrete liquefies. The shockwave slams through surrounding districts, windows imploding, streets buckling under the force. Godzilla roars, not in pain but warning. Leave. In the shadows of a distant refinery, the hunter watches. The predator remains perfectly still atop a skeletal tower, rain streaking down his armor as holographic data scrolls across his visor. Godzilla's new behavior patterns populate the display: shorter tolerance thresholds, increased pursuit radius, faster energy cycling. Adaptation confirmed. The hunter records everything. Below him, the battlefield offers raw materials, destroyed military hardware, exotic alloys warped by atomic heat, fragments of Godzilla's scorched scales recovered from impact zones. The predator descends silently, moving through smoke and wreckage with surgical intent. In an abandoned industrial complex, his ship hums softly as it opens. Inside, tools awaken. Scales are analyzed, molecular density mapped. Godzilla's regenerative response is studied frame by frame. The Hunter forges new blades, thicker, serrated, reinforced with energy conduits tuned to disrupt bionuclear flow. A spearhead forms, glowing faintly as it stabilizes. This weapon is not for killing. It is for piercing. Across the city, Godzilla senses movement. Not sound, not light. Intent. He turns abruptly, claws tearing trenches through concrete as he pivots toward the refinery district. His dorsal plates flare brighter than before, energy spiking unpredictably. He releases a short, violent burst of atomic breath into the sky, an instinctive territorial signal that scorches the clouds themselves. The predator freezes mid-construction. The tracker embedded beneath Godzilla's scales pulses. The hunter tilts his head, analyzing the response. Godzilla is no longer simply reacting. He is searching. Hours later, night falls, but the city does not sleep. Godzilla stalks through the outskirts, moving between ruined neighborhoods and industrial zones, crushing structures that offer concealment. He tears apart cranes, collapses towers, denies vantage points. When humans flee too slowly, he does not divert. He does not spare. In a flooded subway tunnel, a train derails as Godzilla's foot punches through the ceiling above, water exploding upward in a violent geyser. The survivors scatter into darkness as his shadow passes overhead. This is not balance. This is punishment. High above, cloaked and silent, the predator follows at distance, leaping between rooftops and shattered towers. He watches Godzilla obliterate potential ambush zones, learning, anticipating. The hunter adjusts his strategy. He deploys probes, small, nearly invisible, planting them across Godzilla's projected path. They don't attack, they listen. They measure vibration, heat, radiation, heartbeat. Godzilla senses them. He destroys 3 instantly, crushing them beneath his heel, but the rest transmit enough data before annihilation. Enough. The predator returns to his ship one final time. Inside, the air crackles as new weapons are completed. Heavier shoulder cannons calibrated to withstand reflected atomic energy. Armor plates reforged with layered shielding. And at the center, an anchor harpoon, massive by Yautja standards, designed to bite and hold. The hunter steps back and surveys the arsenal. This will not be a test. This will not be restrained. Across the city, Godzilla stops atop a ruined stadium, claws digging into twisted steel as he lifts his head to the storm-choked sky. Rain hisses against his glowing scales. His chest rises and falls in heavy, controlled breaths. He feels the hunt tightening. And for the first time since awakening, Godzilla does not move to flee the presence stalking him. He roars, deep, resonant, furious, challenging the darkness itself. Miles away, the predator locks his helmet into place. Weapons armed. Target confirmed. Both titans have drawn blood, and the next clash will not end with retreat. The first tremor hits at dawn. Skyscrapers shudder as Godzilla crashes through the edge of the city, his massive feet splintering streets and pulverizing vehicles beneath him. Steam rises from molten fissures in asphalt, wrapping the ruins in a haze that glints with the rising sun. Fires ignite in erratic bursts, feeding on ruptured fuel lines and collapsed power grids. Above the chaos, helicopters tilt violently, their pilots straining against turbulent gusts of wind kicked up by the Titan's steps. And then the sky splits. The predator descends from the cloud layer, cloak shimmering, plasma cannons humming softly as it lands atop a partially destroyed tower. Rain lashes down, sliding off armor plates, pooling on the concrete ledges, and dripping in tiny explosions as it contacts the heated metal below. The hunter's gaze scans the streets and rooftops, eyes locking on the glowing dorsal plates of the Titan advancing below. Godzilla senses the presence immediately. He stops mid-stride. A low, resonant growl builds in his chest, vibrating through the steel and stone around him. His eyes narrow, nostrils flaring, as atomic energy crackles along his spine. The air tastes of ozone and impending doom. He does not roar, not yet. He observes, he calculates. This is no ordinary predator. This is intelligent, adaptive. And above, the hunter watches him in kind. Cameras and drones feed real-time data to the hunter's HUD. Calculations stream in mass, strength, regenerative capacity, reaction time. Every step Godzilla takes is recorded, every pulse of atomic energy logged. The hunter adjusts his shoulder cannon, testing angles, predicting the Titan's retaliatory movements. The first strike is precise. A concentrated plasma bolt arcs from the hunter's cannon, striking Godzilla's left flank. The Titan recoils, scales singed, energy flaring unpredictably along his dorsal plates. He roars, not in panic, but fury. The shockwave shatters windows across the district, throwing abandoned vehicles into each other like toys. Godzilla moves faster than any human anticipates. His clawed hands rake the side of a nearby skyscraper, collapsing half its floors into rubble. The hunter leaps from ledge to ledge, dodging debris and flame, firing again. Each shot lands with surgical precision, leaving temporary scars on Godzilla's flesh, scars that vanish almost instantly as regeneration begins. The city itself becomes a chessboard. Traffic tunnels collapse under atomic tremors, sending water and steam shooting skyward. Bridges crack and sag, office towers tilt precariously, some slicing through others as Godzilla maneuvers. The Predator uses the destruction to his advantage, weaving through the chaos, deploying decoys and traps from rooftops. Every movement of Godzilla is studied, every reaction logged. But the Titan is not merely reacting. He anticipates. Each feint by the hunter is met with calculated counter-motion. Godzilla swings his tail in a wide arc, smashing an entire city block, forcing the Predator to dive into a crumbling subway shaft. Atomic energy surges from his throat, arcing in controlled bursts to warn and punish. He is a god, but one wounded and smart, one that has tasted pain and remembers it. And humanity watches. Every skyscraper with functioning cameras, every surviving news drone, every citizen brave or foolish enough to film onto their phones, broadcast the impossible in real time. The world sees the unthinkable, a god fighting a hunter who refuses to die. A duel of titans unfolding across human infrastructure like a theater of doom. Satellite feeds stutter and flash. Trying to track the battle, the spectacle is not staged. It is a warning. The Predator strikes again. Leaping from a collapsed overpass, wrist blades extended, the hunter slices through steel girders, closing in for close contact. Godzilla responds with a primal roar, stomping the earth and sending tremors that buckle streets and toss cars aside. The hunter's claws barely scrape against flesh before Godzilla's atomic energy pulse forces him to vault backward. Sparks rain from his armor, systems recalibrating mid-fall. Every attack is measured, every counterstrike brutal. Godzilla roars again, the sound echoing miles across the urban canyon, vibrating through foundations, shattering glass, and leaving the surviving population paralyzed with awe and terror. He moves like a storm, unstoppable and merciless. Yet each step is guided by the presence above him, the shadow that dares to challenge him. High above, the hunter pauses briefly, scanning the battlefield. recording data, studying the god. His mandibles flex under his mask, displaying awareness and admiration. He has never hunted anything like this. Every tactic, every weapon, every careful calculation is tested and refined in real time. The world understands something now. This war is not hypothetical. It is here. Godzilla is not alone in the fight. Humanity's cities are collateral, their weapons are irrelevant, and the hunter, intelligent, lethal, relentless, is a force no nation can counter. Godzilla lifts his head toward the storm-darkened clouds. Scales glowing bright as atomic energy arcs faintly along his spine. The predator lands atop a shattered communications tower, cape fluttering in the wind, cannon ready. The duel has begun in earnest. And every eye on the planet, every camera, every drone, every broadcast, watches in silent collective fear. The world breaks watching. Because it now knows this war will decide its future. The streets are silent now, but the silence is heavy, stained with fire and ash. The aftermath of the last confrontation stretches for blocks, crushed vehicles, molten steel, glass glittering like shattered ice. Smoke curls from toppled skyscrapers. The occasional groan of a collapsing wall echoes across the urban canyon. Somewhere, distant and faint, sirens wail. High above, the hunter watches. The predator perches on the skeletal remains of a broadcast tower, rain cascading off armor plates, dripping in tiny hissing explosions as it contacts hot metal. The battlefield is quiet for the first time since the hunt began, yet his mask glows softly, recording, analyzing, overlaying heat signatures of survivors, fleeing beneath ruined overpasses and into half-collapsed subways. The hunter's mandibles flex under the mask, more subtle than the usual ritualistic clicks of pride or excitement. His vision cycles through civilian movement, reading the signs. Trembling hands, frantic eyes, the blind panic of humans trapped between God and hunter. Every life is noted, every pattern logged. He did not intend this. The kill was meant to be a test, a trophy, a duel with the ultimate prey. Yet as he scans the streets below, he recognizes a truth the hunt has forced upon him. The collateral is mounting. Children, elderly, refugees, all caught in the wake of titanic fury. He feels it, not empathy exactly, but the echo of his own code. Honor is balance, challenge is the point. Innocence dying, that is dishonor. He exhales slowly, misting in the cold rain. The hunt has never been like this. Godzilla moves again, emerging from the shadows of a ruined sports arena. His dorsal plates pulse with an almost frenetic rhythm, energy flickering along his spine as steam rises from scales scorched and repaired in the previous clash. The Titan scans the city, nostrils flaring, nostrils twitching. He senses the hunter above, and a low, resonant growl vibrates through the streets. It is a warning, a question. Are you here only for me or for all this destruction? The hunter's arm shifts subtly, shoulder cannons powered down, blades sheathed, cloak flickering to full invisibility. He observes, calculating the risk, but for the first time he hesitates. The thrill of the hunt is still there, but it is tangled now with something unfamiliar. Responsibility. From below, a group of survivors crawls across a fractured street seeking shelter. A mother shields a child with her body. A stray dog skids into the open, frozen in fear, as the Titan's atomic hum pulses through the earth. The hunter watches their lives hinge on forces they cannot comprehend. He cannot strike without risking them. And yet the Titan moves closer to them, responding instinctively to the hunter's earlier provocations, oblivious to human frailty. The hunter tilts his head, mandibles flexing in conflict. Honor and instinct collide. The code he has followed for centuries is clear. The hunt is everything. But this is not just a hunt. It is a war unfolding in human spaces. A war with unintended victims. He crouches, balancing atop the tower, fingers tracing his gauntlet. Small monitors display energy residuals from Godzilla's atomic blasts, damage metrics and movement patterns. Data that would allow a perfect strike. Yet each potential path to victory now intersects with lives that do not belong in the calculation. Above, Godzilla senses the presence, his massive head tilting, eyes narrowing through the rain. The Titan's roar pierces the air, not yet fully unleashed, more like a challenge directed not just at the hunter, but at the world around him. He moves closer, deliberately choosing his path through the rubble, stepping past pockets of human life as if learning to navigate them. But his instinct cannot be fully restrained. The hunter exhales again, mandibles clicking softly, almost like a whisper under the mask. He recalibrates not just his weapons, but his approach. From the shadows he begins repositioning, shifting into the ruined cathedral at the city's center. Here he can observe without imposing. Here he can continue the hunt without crossing the line his code will not allow him to violate. For the first time, the hunter's focus is not solely on the kill. It is on the challenge, yes, but also on the integrity of the hunt. Every strike must be measured, every maneuver precise, every collateral casualty minimized. Honor is no longer abstract, it is immediate. The rain intensifies, sluicing through broken streets and splintered steel. Godzilla pauses, sensing the hunter adjusting his angle, understanding that he is being watched, measured, respected. The Titan's roar subsides, replaced by a low rumble that vibrates through the crumbling cityscape. It is a communication without sound, an acknowledgement. The hunter's mandibles click once, sharply. Decision made. He will continue the hunt. He will face the god. But the code now weighs heavier than ever. The cost must be justified. The thrill of the kill cannot outweigh honor. From the shattered city below, humanity watches, unaware of the silent judgment passing between two apex predators, between Godzilla's raw, untempered power and the predator's disciplined code. A new tension emerges, one that will shape the next clash in ways neither has yet foreseen. The hunter crouches, gaze fixed on the Titan, mandibles flexing once more. Honor, instinct, and the unyielding will to survive intertwine beneath the mask. The storm rages, lightning slicing across the skyline, illuminating two figures poised on the edge of destiny. And for the first time, the hunter wonders if victory alone is worth the world he leaves behind. The hunter's world trembles before he even sees it. A thunderous roar splits the sky above the snow-capped mountains of northern Europe. Godzilla's silhouette emerges through swirling blizzards, each step sinking deep into frozen valleys, displacing ice and stone with crushing authority. The Titan's scales glint beneath the pale sunlight, pulsing faintly with residual atomic energy. This is no cautious advance. This is calculated, relentless pursuit. The predator freezes mid-leap atop a crumbling ridge. Cloak flickering in the gusting wind, he scans the horizon. Sensors ping furiously, tracking seismic vibrations in patterns that defy ordinary interpretation. Godzilla is no longer reacting. He is hunting. The hunter grips his wrist blades, mandibles flexing beneath the mask. Every strike, every decoy, every trap that has worked before, the god has learned, adapted, anticipated. Now the roles are reversed. Godzilla stomps through a frozen riverbed, ice cracking and exploding in jagged shards beneath him. His eyes lock onto the hunter, glowing like molten metal, his jaw flexing in a silent, primal challenge. Atomic energy flares along his dorsal plates, illuminating the stormy sky in brilliant arcs of blue. Each pulse radiates through the mountains, shattering trees, sending boulders tumbling, triggering avalanches in his wake. The hunter dives behind a jagged cliff, rolling through snow and rubble, blades slicing through a frozen tree to slow his descent. He fires a short-range plasma burst at Godzilla's trailing flank. Sparks and scorched scales mark the impact, but the Titan barely flinches. Instead, he pivots, enormous tail smashing a mountain wall, sending debris cascading in a deadly avalanche toward the hunter. The predator rolls clear just in time, landing on a ridge of ice that cracks under his weight. Systems flash warnings as wind-driven snow scrapes across damaged armor. He deploys cloaked drones, each a tiny observer, recording, marking, predicting. But Godzilla ignores them, moving with singular focus towards the hunter's last known position. For the first time, the hunter feels the weight of vulnerability. He ascends a ridge, but the snow beneath him explodes in a vertical plume as Godzilla's foot slams into the ice below. The impact hurls shards in every direction, cutting close enough to tear armor and scorch flesh. The hunter vaults off jagged stones, firing another pulse. Godzilla twists, senses over every movement, closing the distance with terrifying precision. The Titan's roar grows louder, a deep vibration that rattles the mountains themselves. It carries with it intelligence, awareness, and an unmistakable intent. Godzilla is no longer a reactive force. He is an apex predator, stalking the hunter with an ancient, methodical patience. The hunter recalibrates, switching to adaptive camouflage, attempting to merge with the snow and stone. He lays traps along the ridge, energy nets, seismic mines, reinforced grapples, but Godzilla anticipates every pattern, avoiding them with a mix of instinct and calculated force. He smashes a mine into the air with his tail, detonating it harmlessly against a boulder, the shockwave merely rippling across his scales. The hunter's breath is visible through the frost, rapid and sharp. Systems flicker, damaged from earlier encounters, warnings stacking across his hoodie. He leaps between icy outcrops, trying to maintain distance. The hunter's mind races. He is fast, cunning, adaptive. But Godzilla is colossal, relentless, and learning faster than he anticipated. A lightning bolt splits the stormy sky, illuminating Godzilla's head above the ridge. Eyes lock. Atomic energy arcs along his spine, a storm condensed into living form. The Titan crouches slightly, sensing the hunter's position even beneath adaptive camouflage. The hunter fires, targeting the gaping fissures of Godzilla's wounds, attempting to slow him. Sparks fly, scales flare, but Godzilla shrugs it off. He swipes with his tail again, catching the hunter mid-flight, sending him crashing into the snow, armor dented, systems screaming. Godzilla advances, stomping with measured, earth-shattering cadence. Each step demolishes natural barriers. Each roar sends ice flying. Each pulse of energy tests the hunter's endurance. The hunter rises, rolling through the snow, mandibles flexing beneath the mask. He studies the Titan's rhythm, noting patterns, adjusting strategies, but for the first time he feels the hunt slipping from his control. The Titan crouches on a ridge above, claws digging into ice. His gaze fixes on the hunter, unwavering, ancient, and intelligent. Godzilla does not roar now. He observes, waits, calculates. The hunter's next move will decide whether he survives this encounter or becomes history beneath the king's fury. The wind howls, snow whips around shattered peaks, trees snap under Godzilla's weight. And in the midst of it all, the hunter realizes the unthinkable. He is being hunted. The apex predator has become prey, and the world watches, trembling as the king pushes back. The void of space is alive with silent judgment. Orbiting Earth, a massive Yautja command vessel drifts through the darkness, its hull etched with scars from hunts spanning light years. Inside, the chamber hums with energy, the air thick with tension. Clansmen gather around a central holographic display. A three-dimensional map of Earth flickering with heat signatures, seismic activity and movement data from the Titan below. The lone hunter, the one who descended to Earth, is highlighted in amber, an anomaly among thousands of red blips representing humans, and a single, massive, pulsating blue. Godzilla. "This is unprecedented," murmurs one elder, mandibles flexing as he observes the readings. His voice resonates low, reverberating across the chamber. No prey has ever demonstrated such scale and adaptation. Another clicks softly, a ripple of annoyance or curiosity passing through his mandibles. The hunter is reckless. He has left the ceremonial path. He risks exposure. He risks failure. The first Yautja fixes his gaze on the data. And yet, he has marked the god. He has engaged and survived. That is skill, courage, and cunning combined. Perhaps the trial is pure, yet dangerous. Outside the vessel, Earth rotates silently, unaware of the deliberation unfolding above. Cities glow faintly, unaware of the interstellar eyes tracking every seismic tremor, every burst of energy from the Titan, every tactical maneuver of the lone hunter. The storm-choked continents look peaceful from orbit, but sensors indicate destruction, fire, and rising panic. Humans are collateral. Entire nations remain oblivious to the spectacle above them. Another clan member leans forward, claws tapping against the console. "We must decide. Intervene or observe. Let the trial continue unchecked, and we risk interference from other predators, or even humans who may develop weapons of planetary scale. Or," he pauses, mandibles tightening, "we strike. End the anomaly before it corrupts the honor of the hunt." The chamber falls silent. Holographic displays ripple as data streams pulse across the room. The elder watches Earth, his gaze lingering on the lone hunter's mark. He sees the code of honor etched in every movement, the careful restraint despite collateral devastation, the calculation and adaptation that no ordinary hunter would attempt. The hunter's path diverges, he finally intones. He challenges a god. He risks dishonor to his kind, yet he embodies the essence of our code. We cannot, will not interfere lightly. Another clicks, his voice low and grim. The god is growing aware. If the hunter fails, Earth may become a hunting ground for all of us. A subtle ripple of unease passes through the chamber. Sensors detect Godzilla's recent pursuit, the Titan's aggression, his adaptability, his ability to track and strike with precision. Even Yautja in orbit acknowledge the unprecedented nature of the challenge. One of the younger clansmen tilts his head, mandibles flexing thoughtfully. "Do we observe, knowing that if the hunter falls, the balance tips against our kind? Or do we intervene, risking the sanctity of the hunt?" The elder leans forward, eyes narrowing. The path of honor is never simple. Yet this is more than a hunt. It is a test of judgment. Let the hunter continue. Let the god continue. Let the planet stand on the edge of the trial. Sensors flicker again, scanning the Earth below. Human broadcasts, military chatter, seismic readings, thermal scans of Godzilla, the lone hunter's movements, all stream into the vessel, feeding decisions and debate. Another member breaks the silence, voice hard. "If the hunter fails, the clans of Earth will descend. This planet becomes a proving ground for generations. The elder's gaze lingers on the lone amber blip. He leans back, claws interlocked, mandibles clicking slowly. Perhaps. But honor must guide the hunt. Intervention now would be corruption. Let the trial continue, let the hunter face the god, and let the world remain unknowing, for now. Outside, Earth spins, oceans glittering under sunlight, storms curling over ruined cities, and the Titan moves relentlessly across continents. The lone hunter adapts below, unaware of the silent judgment passed above him. Every strike, every retreat, every decision is being catalogued, analyzed, weighed in a court far beyond the comprehension of humanity. And the clan watches. In the shadowed chamber, a quiet tension settles. The verdict is clear yet unspoken. The hunt continues, the planet teeters on the edge, and the next move may tip the balance from trial to invasion. The storm of Earth rages below. Fires burn, steel bends, energy pulses, and above, thousands of eyes in orbit observe, debating, waiting, poised to act, or to let the ultimate trial unfold. The hunt may soon become an invasion. The sky above the wasteland is a bruised violet, clouds roiling like molten steel as if the storm itself fears what is about to unfold. Smoke spirals from shattered highways and toppled towers, mixing with the acrid scent of scorched metal and ozone. Godzilla stands amid the ruins of a half-collapsed city, claws sinking into fractured concrete, scales glimmering with residual atomic energy, dorsal plates glowing bright enough to ignite the misting rain around him. He growls low and resonant, sensing not just the hunter nearby, but the sudden, deliberate preparation of something far more dangerous. From above, the hunter descends, cloak flickering intermittently, plasma cannons humming with a deep resonance. He lands atop a skyscraper reduced to skeletal beams. Rain hisses against reinforced armor plates, cascading in rivulets that steam as they touch glowing surfaces of damaged weaponry. The hunter's mandibles click softly as he surveys the battlefield, calculating, analyzing, anticipating. This is not a simple hunt anymore. Beneath the storm, the hunter begins to deploy weapons unlike any seen before on Earth. Massive shoulder cannons, calibrated to withstand atomic energy bursts, hum with power as they lock on target. Harpoons embedded with energy disruptors glow faintly, their lines ready to pierce scales and anchor into Godzilla's titanic flesh. Cloaked drones equipped with microplasma lances drift into position, ghost-like over the ruined streets. The hunter moves with ritualistic precision, each deployment choreographed, each motion an extension of centuries of perfected craft. Yet there is a quiet tension under the armor. Each strike risks far more than a simple victory. Every shot fired carries the potential to destabilize Godzilla's energy core. Every harpoon, every lanced projectile could trigger a catastrophic reaction. Godzilla senses the change. He pivots, enormous head tilting to follow the movement above. Eyes flare molten as he unleashes a short, controlled pulse of atomic energy into the sky, testing, warning, threatening. Sparks ignite over distant towers. Water from ruptured pipelines sizzles as it evaporates. A tree trunk, twisted and splintered, bursts into flame where it lands from the shockwave. The hunter doesn't flinch. He fires first. Plasma arcs slicing through the mist, striking Godzilla's flank with a precision that leaves molten furrows along his scales. Godzilla roars, each note resonating like a cathedral of destruction, sending shockwaves that shatter glass and buckle steel. The Titan pivots, tail whipping through the streets below, tearing apart vehicles, displacing rubble, flattening bridges. Every step is a message. The god has felt pain. The hunter responds, unleashing microplasma lances from his drones. They pierce the ruined pavement, detonating in arcs of electricity that scorch Godzilla's feet, forcing him to stumble momentarily. Yet he recovers instantly, energy flaring along his dorsal plates, brighter, hotter, more unstable. He roars again, this time a deeper, more resonant note. The sound vibrating through the clouds above, warning that the next strike could have irreversible consequences. The hunter steps back atop a steel beam, calibrating his shoulder cannons for a concentrated blast designed to target Godzilla's regenerative nodes. These weapons were never meant for mere creatures. They were forged for gods, planetary-scale predators that could annihilate worlds. The risk is obvious, the stakes absolute, too much force, and Godzilla could collapse into a feedback loop of atomic energy, destroying not just himself but the surrounding city, and perhaps even destabilizing the continent's tectonics. Godzilla notices the preparation, sensing intent, understanding the danger. His steps quicken, earth quaking under his weight, the air thick with ozone and ionized mist. The predator's aura of calculated precision clashes with the god's raw, untamed power. The first cannon fires. A massive bolt of concentrated energy streaks across the ruined skyline. Godzilla pivots, intercepting partially with a tail sweep, but the blast grazes his dorsal plates, sending sparks and molten energy spraying across his back. His roar cuts the night, furious, pained, warning. The hunter observes, data streaming across his visor. Godzilla is adapting, energy fluctuating with each strike. Each weapon deployed increases the Titan's volatility. The city below quakes with every exchange, fires erupt, streets split open, bridges collapse. The hunter adjusts, preparing the next salvo. The tension coils like a living thing, the possibility of victory now intertwined with the potential for total annihilation. One miscalculation, one misfired harpoon, and the god could enter a self-destructive state. One precise strike, and the hunter could claim the ultimate prize. Yet both know instinctively that the line has been crossed. The hunt is no longer controlled. It has escalated into something far more perilous. Godzilla's eyes glow molten. He lifts his head toward the storm-choked sky, dorsal plates flaring, energy pulsing violently along his spine. His roar carries not just fury but a warning. This battle will not end without devastation. The hunter crouches, mandibles flexing, armor humming with energy. Weapons for gods are deployed, systems ready. Both Predator and Titan pause for a heartbeat, each aware of the stakes, the risk, the sheer scale of power waiting to erupt. And beneath it all, the city trembles. Fires flare, steel bends, concrete cracks. Humanity holds its breath. Victory now carries a cost beyond reckoning. Annihilation lies just beyond the next strike. And the hunt continues. The air vibrates with a low, thrumming hum, as if the planet itself is warning those who dare trespass on its scale. Godzilla staggers atop a jagged ridge, molten fissures snaking across the earth beneath his massive feet. Each step he takes fractures rock, ruptures soil, sends geysers of steam erupting from the ruptured crust. The storm above has intensified into a full tempest. Wind slicing across the land like a sharpened blade, rain lashing sideways, lightning igniting the clouds in violent forks of white-blue energy. Godzilla's dorsal plates flare erratically, bright arcs of atomic energy shooting skyward. He roars, a sound that rattles mountains, shatters the windows of distant cities, and sends animals fleeing hundreds of miles away. It is not just fury anymore, it is instability, a warning signal from a creature pushed beyond natural limits. His biology teeters on the edge of collapse. energy surging uncontrollably through organs and tissue that have endured millennia. Every pulse he emits radiates heat, pressure, and raw power, and the land around him responds violently. The predator watches from a fractured skyscraper, rain pouring off armor. Mandibles flexing beneath the mask, he observes the Titan with a mix of fascination and cautious calculation. The final arsenal has worked. Godzilla's regenerative systems are failing under sustained bombardment, each strike from the hunter's experimental weapons escalating instability. Yet the hunter also feels the tension in the air. The danger is no longer just Godzilla, but what Godzilla could become if pushed too far. The ground trembles beneath both of them. Cracks spiderweb outward from Godzilla's massive feet, sending boulders tumbling into valleys below. Forests ignite spontaneously as atomic energy arcs across the landscape, igniting trees and vaporizing water from nearby rivers. Seismic waves ripple across the continent, triggering landslides and avalanches. The storm reacts to Godzilla, as if the planet itself recognizes a threat to its balance. The hunter crouches, adjusting cloaked drones to record the Titan's movements. He knows that any misstep could trigger a full meltdown of Godzilla's internal energy. The cityscapes, ruins, and forests that once shielded humanity are now irrelevant. They are collateral in a planetary-scale trial. The hunter flexes his gauntlets, momentarily hesitating. The thrill of the hunt has always been controlled, but now the stakes are cosmic. Kill the king, and Earth may not survive. Godzilla sways slightly, tail sweeping the terrain in frustration, striking a glacier-like cliff that fractures instantly, sending ice slabs crashing to the valley floor. Steam hisses as the pieces strike the warming earth. Small geysers erupting where water trapped within the ice meets atomic heat. Every movement seems designed to warn the hunter, approach, and the risk grows exponentially. Above, the storm lashes with renewed vigor. Lightning strikes the Titan's glowing dorsal plates, arcs reflecting in his molten eyes. Godzilla roars again, this one longer, deeper, vibrating with warning, pain, and the weight of millennia. The earth shudders in response, quakes radiating outward from the epicenter of the Titan's unstable power. Trees are uprooted, rivers spill their banks, and mountains creak, their foundations trembling as if whispering a caution to those who stand too close. The hunter studies him, every sensor tuned to Godzilla's surging energy. He recognizes the signs of a near meltdown state. Energy levels fluctuating wildly, surges of atomic radiation, erratic pulse patterns in dorsal spikes, every muscle fiber thrumming with uncontrollable force. This is no ordinary prey, this is a planet-threatening force, and yet the hunter's instincts, honed over centuries, still whisper the allure of the ultimate challenge. Godzilla lunges, but his movements are less precise, more desperate. Each step risks catastrophic feedback. Rocks shatter beneath him, chunks of terrain erupt into molten clouds, and nearby streams hiss violently as superheated water meets his scales. The Titan roars, directing a blast of atomic energy skyward. The sky fractures in response, a shockwave detonating in the clouds and igniting secondary storms. The hunter takes cover behind a fractured cliff face, mandibles flexing, eyes narrowing beneath the mask. He realizes the truth of the hunt now. To kill the king risks destabilizing the very planet that shelters both predator and prey. The energy unleashed is no longer merely a weapons effect. It is a chain reaction, a potential apocalypse. Godzilla pauses, chest heaving, scales flaring, eyes locking on the hunter. The Titan's breath fogs in the storm, a mist of ionized air and rain. He is exhausted, unstable, but still regal, still terrifying. His roar cuts through the wind, a declaration that the crown of the planet is his, and any who seek it must understand the cost. The hunter straightens, weapons ready, yet a rare hesitation passes through him. Honor, instinct, and the cold calculation of a seasoned Yautja now conflict with the awareness that victory could annihilate everything. The storm rages, the earth quakes, and Godzilla pulses with energy like a living, breathing reactor. For the first time, both hunter and king understand the fragile balance beneath them. Kill the king, and the planet may not survive. Retreat or strike with caution. The choice is absolute, irreversible. And in the distance, lightning fractures the clouds, illuminating a world trembling under the weight of the king's near meltdown. The hunter's relentless pursuit and the cost of claiming dominion over a force older than civilization itself. The world trembles beneath him. Perched atop the skeletal remains of a collapsed bridge, the predator surveys the battlefield. Smoke curls from fractured streets, fires burn in molten streaks across shattered skyscrapers, and the storm above churns violently, illuminated by Godzilla's unpredictable atomic pulses. Every quake beneath the hunter's feet reminds him that the Earth itself is reacting to the Titan's instability. A single misstep, a single strike, and the planet could crack apart. He crouches, mandibles clicking softly beneath the mask. Sensors flash warnings, energy readings spike, tracking Godzilla's pulses as if measuring a reactor ready to explode. He exhales, breath fogging in the storm, a small plume of condensation escaping the armor. Honor tells him to strike, to finish the hunt that has consumed him across continents. Survival screams another truth. The prey is also the planet's heartbeat. To kill it is to doom everything. Godzilla shifts below, massive tail tearing through streets, uprooting twisted steel, each step sending debris tumbling like ragdolls in a chaotic symphony. The Titan's eyes are molten, burning with both fury and exhaustion. Every pulse of energy from his dorsal plates flickers erratically, glowing hotter, brighter, threatening catastrophic feedback. The storm above is no longer just weather. It is a mirror of Godzilla's turmoil, lightning cracking the sky with violent precision, wind lashing sideways, rain slicing like razor wire. The hunter's gauntlets hum softly, weapons still active, capable of piercing scales, rupturing vital organs, ending this ancient life in an instant. Cloaked drones hover silently, recording, marking, ready for the final strike. But the data is clear. One fully calibrated assault could trigger an unstoppable chain reaction. Cities, forests, rivers, tectonic plates, everything is at risk. A god's death here could be planetary suicide. He lowers his arm slightly, claws flexing beneath the armor, mandibles clicking in contemplation. Memories flicker across his mind, battles fought with honor, prey felled without destruction of the world it lived in, hunts that ended in respect and ritual. This is different. No hunter has ever faced a prey whose demise could fracture continents. No code prepares one for this. Godzilla pauses atop a shattered overpass, turning his massive head toward the hunter. The Titan does not roar. He does not move. He simply watches, as if understanding that the hunter now hesitates. Atomic energy pulses along his spine, brighter with each heartbeat, crackling like a storm about to erupt. His eyes, molten and deep, flicker with awareness. He is both threat and warning, god and sentinel. The hunter kneels slightly, scanning the readings once more. His visor illuminates the hazards. Energy instability, seismic activity, atmospheric fluctuations. Death is possible, but not just for the Titan. If he strikes, if he completes the hunt, the world itself may follow into ruin. The hunter's mind races. The thrill of the kill, centuries of ritual, honor earned through blood, versus the survival of an entire planet. The wind whistles, carrying debris and rain across his armor. Mandibles flex again, hesitating. A lifetime of training, a code of honor, demands the strike. Survival instincts scream for retreat, for prudence. The hunter closes his eyes behind the mask for a brief heartbeat, feeling the raw pulse of Godzilla through the ground, sensing the delicate balance between predator and planet. Godzilla exhales, a rumble deep enough to fracture stones, steam rising from fissures in the ground around him. His roar is distant yet intimate, a challenge not of violence but of understanding. He is the king, but he is also fragile, unstable. Every pulse threatens catastrophe. The hunter understands in a single bone-deep instant. The hunt is no longer about victory, but about legacy. What kind of hunter will he become? He rises slowly, weapon system still active, but he lowers his targeting arm. The storm rages, rain pelting like needles, lightning splitting clouds above. Every sense screams readiness, danger, instinct, but honor shifts beneath it, reshaping itself. The choice is clear yet unspoken. To kill is to defy survival. To hesitate is to defy code, and to act wisely is to create a new legend. The hunter steps back from the edge, mandibles clicking softly in resolution. Cloaked drones retract, weapons powering down partially. He has decided. The apex predator of countless worlds has chosen restraint, not weakness. Godzilla stirs, sensing the shift in intent. Atomic energy pulses along his spine, bright, violent, yet stabilizing slightly. The Titan's molten eyes flick toward the hunter, recognition passing in a silent understanding between two ancient forces. The storm begins to ebb, as if the planet itself acknowledges the decision. For the first time, the battlefield quiets, not because the fight is over, but because the hunter has chosen the impossible. Honor without destruction, victory without death. And in that instant, the storm, the earth, and the Titan all pause, waiting for the next chapter of a hunt that will be remembered across galaxies. The hunter stands alone amidst ruined skyscrapers, the choice made, the legend now his to define. The sky tears open with streaks of fire as predator dropships pierce the storm, their engines screaming across the cloud-laden horizon. They descend in formation, sleek silhouettes cutting through lightning flashes, plasma weapons humming ominously. Below, the cityscape is a maze of smoldering ruins and fractured steel, streets shattered by Godzilla's relentless pursuit and the lone hunter's relentless strikes. Smoke and ash mingle with the rain, turning the battlefield into a grey haze, a war zone that stretches from horizon to horizon. The hunter stands atop a crumbling skyscraper, visor glowing faintly through the downpour. His cloaked drones flare briefly, mapping the approaching forces with surgical precision. He had chosen restraint, had avoided killing Godzilla outright, but now the skies betray him. The Yautja clan, fractured by dissent, has decided some hunts are too great to observe quietly. Entire squads descend to claim the apex predator for themselves, and humanity has nowhere left to hide. In the streets, Godzilla turns, massive head pivoting toward the new arrivals. Dorsal plates flare bright, atomic energy pulsing violently, a warning and a challenge. He roars, a sound that cracks the skyline and sends shudders through the earth. Rain sizzles as lightning strikes the fractured pavement, molten steam rising where water meets energy. Every step he takes ruptures streets, flattens buildings, and sends vehicles hurtling into twisted heaps. The predator watches, calculating. He is no longer alone in this hunt. Other Yautja drop from orbit, landing in waves, each armed with heavy plasma cannons, energy harpoons, and blades forged for the kill of Titans. The balance of honor and instinct fractures further with every descent. Some aim to capture, some to kill, some simply to prove dominance. Their landing sends shockwaves that topple ruined facades, hurling rubble into the streets like missiles. Humanity reacts too late. Military forces scramble, fighter jets cutting into the grey sky, missiles streaking toward both Godzilla and the Predators. Radar overloads. Defensive systems fail to differentiate between friend and foe. Tanks attempt coordinated strikes, but are shredded in seconds by atomic pulses or plasma fire. Civilians flee in chaos, but there is no safe ground. The battlefield has become the planet itself. Godzilla stomps forward, each step shattering pavement and bending steel. Atomic breath flickers across the city, narrowly missing hunters and inadvertently neutralizing some human weaponry. The Titan's eyes flare with fury, aware that the hunter he once fought alone now has reinforcements, each unfamiliar predator moving with deadly intent. He swings his tail, cutting through armored vehicles and striking a Yautja who dared to approach too closely, sending him crashing through a crumbling highway. The lone hunter leaps from the skyscraper, landing between Godzilla and the incoming forces. Mandibles flexing, he moves with lethal grace, using the environment to his advantage. Twisting around fallen girders, vaulting over collapsed streets, striking just enough to protect both himself and the Titan without risking planetary destabilization. Every move is precise, every strike deliberate, a dance of predator against predator and god alike. Above, lightning ignites the raindrops around the descending Yautja, turning each hunter into a streaking silhouette of death. Plasma bolts scorch the ground, igniting fires in buildings and parks, sending showers of debris into streets below. The sound of tearing metal, shattering glass, and monstrous roars creates a symphony of chaos. The storm itself seems to respond, gusts turning into funnels that hurl ash and debris, forcing both hunters and humans to adapt in real time. In the center of the battlefield, Godzilla pivots, atomic pulse flaring, striking multiple predators mid-flight. Explosions erupt as energy meets armor, sending some hunters tumbling into craters or broken streets. One Yautja lands with a thundering crash nearby, claws scoring the earth as he pushes himself up to engage. Another fires a barrage of energy harpoons at the Titan's flank, but Godzilla anticipates, tail smashing the incoming projectiles into molten fragments. The hunter who had chosen restraint now faces an impossible calculus. Protect Godzilla and risk defying his own species, allow the clan to strike and risk planetary catastrophe. Every second, the battlefield grows more volatile. Cracks snake across streets, rivers overflow, and ruptured pipelines explode. Humanity's structures collapse under the combined weight of God, hunters, and chaos. The storm intensifies. Lightning strikes Godzilla's dorsal plates, illuminating the skeletal skyline and the descending predators. Atomic pulses collide with plasma fire, each impact sending tremors through the city. The hunter braces atop a twisted steel girder, mandibles flexing, observing both friend and foe, understanding that this three-way conflict will decide not just the hunt, but the survival of the planet itself. And as the battle rages, the ground beneath trembles violently, a subtle reminder that the world itself has become the final arena. Every strike, every leap, every atomic pulse sends shockwaves that could fracture continents. The fight is no longer about trophies or honor or survival. It is about control over a planet caught between titanic forces. From the shattered streets to the storm-split skies, the war has escalated. Predator against predator, hunter against god, and humanity in the crossfire. The battlefield has become the planet itself, and every life below waits, trembling, for the next strike that could tip the balance toward annihilation. Above, in orbit, dissenting Yautja watched the unfolding chaos, mandibles flexing. Below, Godzilla roars, tail smashing through the buildings. Amid it all, the lone hunter moves, calculating, poised to act, and knowing that the next decision will echo across Earth and beyond. The war has begun. There is no going back. The world burns beneath them. Cities are unrecognizable, their skeletal ruins jutting into a sky painted black with ash and lightning. Rivers boil where atomic pulses met molten debris. Forests are nothing but charred stumps. The rain falls in sheets of acid-tinged water, steam rising wherever it touches the fractured earth, and at the center of it all, two figures stand, or move, with deliberate titanic intent. Godzilla, king of monsters, and the lone predator. Armor battered but movements precise, mandibles flexing beneath the storm-darkened mask. Godzilla roars, a sound that shakes continents, vibrating through the ruins beneath his massive feet. His tail lashes like a whip, smashing through collapsed bridges and twisted girders, sending clouds of dust and shattered steel into the tempest above. But the roar carries a different resonance this time, a challenge, yes, but also recognition. He does not see the hunter as prey. He sees an equal, a force capable of testing the limits of his millennia-spanning strength. The predator crouches atop a broken overpass, rain streaming down the ridges of his armor. Cloaked drones hum faintly around him, scanning, recording, calculating. Every sensor reports energy fluxes, structural instability, atmospheric anomalies. But the hunter feels the raw pulse of Godzilla through the ground beneath him, feels the atomic energy thrumming through his chest, and senses the Titan's awareness, the understanding that this is no ordinary hunt. This is a trial of equals. Without warning, Godzilla lunges, covering the gap in seconds, each step causing the ground to fissure, sending fountains of water and molten rock into the air. The predator rolls forward, blades extending, plasma caster charging, weaving through debris with lethal precision. Sparks erupt as tail strikes collide with steel girders and missiles meant to pierce armor. The city around them is a backdrop of utter devastation, a stage fit for legends. They clash. Atomic breath meets plasma bolts midair, explosions throwing up columns of steam and fire. Godzilla pivots, swiping with claws that could crush the tanks like toys. The predator dodges, rolls, and counters, blades scoring molten streaks along the Titan's forelimbs. Neither strikes recklessly. Each movement is deliberate, a dialogue of strength and respect between two apex beings. Lightning flashes, illuminating the battlefield in a strobe of chaos. Rain sizzles where atomic energy meets waterlogged streets. The storm rages above, matching the fury below. But in the eye of it all, these two hunters, the Titan and the alien, move in synchrony, each aware of the stakes. The world around them has already been sacrificed, yet the air between them crackles with tension, honor, and inevitability. The predator vaults onto Godzilla's tail, sliding across his dorsal plates as they flare with unstable energy. Sparks erupt beneath his feet. He strikes a precise slice across armored scales, but Godzilla doesn't recoil. He acknowledges the attack, twisting, spinning, testing the hunter's agility and resolve. Both are learning, adapting, and pushing each other beyond known limits. The line between hunter and hunted has blurred entirely. Godzilla's eyes flare molten red. He roars again, low and resonant, sending shockwaves through the fractured streets. The ground quakes violently, rupturing beneath both combatants. Chunks of buildings topple, rivers explode into steam, and the clouds above twist with violent fury, drawn to the Titan's energy. The predator braces, gripping the edge of a collapsed skyscraper, armor denting, blades glowing yet refusing to falter. In a moment of rare clarity, both pause, a heartbeat in eternity. Godzilla's chest heaves, atomic energy pulsing in erratic bursts, and the predator's mandibles click softly in thought. Each recognizes what is inevitable. Someone will fall, someone must sacrifice. Yet there is no fear. There is only respect, honor, and the understanding that this battle is bigger than survival. It is transformation. Godzilla lunges again, faster, driven by instinct and raw power. The predator counters, rolling beneath his claws, striking with blades ignited in searing plasma, slicing across dorsal plates and armored limbs. Explosions throw debris into the storm. Fire meeting rain in a hiss that echoes across ruined skyscrapers. Their clash is no longer about victory. It is about forcing the other to ascend, to evolve, to endure. A lightning bolt strikes close, illuminating the tableau. Two titans of their respective worlds locked in a dance of death and honor, rain and fire washing over them. Humanity watches in terror and awe, scattered across ruined landscapes, powerless yet drawn to the magnitude of the struggle. Every step, every strike, every pulse resonates through continents, a message that this is no ordinary fight. The predator leaps high, landing on Godzilla's shoulder, blades ready. Godzilla rears, atomic energy flaring from his back, yet he does not strike blindly. Instead, he pivots, calculating, testing the hunter's resolve, teaching him the weight of survival and consequence. Both are warriors shaped by worlds, by instinct, by millennia. But now they are equals, bound by combat, each challenging the other's definition of power. As the storm begins to wane, a calm forms briefly amidst the chaos, a pause charged with inevitability. The battlefield is silent but alive, energy thrumming in every shattered street, in every fissured skyscraper, in every pulse of atomic light. Both combatants understand the truth. The final strike will demand a sacrifice. One will fall, or perhaps both will be changed forever. The wind dies momentarily. Rain hisses across scorched earth. Godzilla and the predator face each other, breathing, pulsing, alive with the power and respect of titans. The last hunt has begun, and the world waits, trembling for the outcome that will redefine legend. The skies are quiet now, but the silence is heavy. Smoke curls from the remains of cities, their skeletal frames silhouetted against a blood-orange sunset that bathes the horizon in a bruised, dying light. Rivers run dark with ash and debris. Forests are reduced to charred skeletons, and the wind carries the scent of ozone, fire, and molten metal. Amid the ruins, Godzilla moves, slow and deliberate, each step leaving deep furrows in cracked asphalt and shattered concrete. The king of monsters is alive, but battered, scales scorched, dorsal plates dimmed, and each breath a tremor that shakes the broken landscape. He stops at the edge of a collapsed harbor, the remnants of ships jutting from the water like jagged teeth. His gaze sweeps over the wasteland, eyes glowing faintly with molten orange, reflecting both pain and awareness. Godzilla's roar is low, more a rumble than a challenge, resonating with the weight of a survivor who has endured the impossible. Every movement is measured, instinct tempered by the scars of battle. The ground quivers slightly as he settles, sensing the subtle pulse of the planet beneath him, a fragile heartbeat he helped preserve. Above, clouds twist with the remnants of the storm, lightning flickering faintly, a reminder that the world is still alive, still watching. Silence dominates, broken only by distant collapses and the trickle of rain washing ash from the twisted remains of civilization. Somewhere in the shadows, the remnants of predator technology smolder, scorched plasma cannons and mangled drones lying inert, marking the end of an invasion that could have ended Earth entirely. The lone hunter's presence is gone or hidden, but its decisions linger in every scar on the planet and every mark on Godzilla's colossal form. In orbit, predator vessels observe, cloaked against human detection, their mandibles flexing in quiet debate. The choices of the lone hunter have sparked reverberations through their clan and beyond. Interstellar law regarding Earth's sovereignty, its right to exist as a hunting ground, is being rewritten, debated among elders and war councils. The hunter's restraint has changed precedent. The apex predator of a distant world had chosen honor over victory, shaping the rules of engagement for generations to come. On the ground, human survivors cautiously emerge from crumbled shelters. Military units, civilian groups, and researchers alike step over rubble, their movements tentative, eyes wide with awe and fear. The devastation is unimaginable, yet they see Godzilla's silhouette against the sunset, a living testament to endurance. There is no cheering, no celebration, only the cautious, whispered acknowledgement that the world is still here, against all odds. The king's gaze sweeps them briefly, and then he turns away, moving toward the sea with the slow inevitability of a force too ancient to be tamed, too alive to be destroyed. A lone figure appears atop the highest remaining skyscraper, armored and motionless, perhaps a remnant of the predator, or an observer of the hunter's choice, cloaked partially by shadow. Its presence is a quiet reminder that Earth has not been forgotten. Signals flare briefly from hidden tech, marking data and energy readings, before silence returns. The hunter, or its echo, has left a mark on both the planet and the interstellar community. Restraint can be power, and honor can reshape worlds. Godzilla moves slowly into the ocean, massive tail lashing water into towering sprays, each step sending ripples across the surface. The sea swallows his lower body, waves churning with the residual energy of his atomic pulses. Yet he remains conscious, aware, alive. A subtle calm settles across the horizon. The storm above dissipates, clouds thinning, letting shafts of golden light touch the water's surface. It is a peace born of exhaustion and survival, delicate as a single feather floating in a gale. Humanity, scattered across the ruins, begins to assess, to rebuild, to adapt. There is grief for lives lost, for cities shattered, for the innocence of a world that never asked to host gods and hunters. But there is also recognition, a quiet awe that Earth endured not through sheer might, but through the unpredictable, deliberate actions of beings who understood that destruction is not always the answer. And somewhere far above, orbiting ships record, analyze, and debate, sending data through secure channels. The hunter's legend spreads silently among the stars. Rules will change, expectations will shift, and Earth will remain a world both watched and respected, a rare prize not taken lightly. The king's roar finally echoes across the horizon, low and reverent, carrying both warning and promise. The planet breathes again, slow and deliberate, the tremors of war fading, but not forgotten. Humanity survives. Godzilla survives. And the legacy of the hunter lingers, a reminder that peace can exist even after apocalypse. But it is fragile, temporary, and earned. As waves lap against the remains of the shattered coastline, The wind carries a whisper of possibility. The world endured, yes, but it waits. The calm is a fragile veneer, a pause before the next challenge, the next predator, the next titan. Survival is never guaranteed, but today the world that survived is real, and it is watching, trembling, alive. The first light of dawn pierces the horizon, filtering through the lingering haze of smoke and ash. Cities are half rebuilt, skeletons of steel intertwined with scaffolding, survivors moving cautiously among streets that still remember fire and thunder. The air carries the scent of salt from oceans stirred violently in past battles, mingled with fresh earth and the faint tang of ozone. Somewhere far off, Godzilla rises from the deep dorsal plates, reflecting the pale sun like molten bronze. He moves with measured purpose, each step sending ripples through the fractured coastline, a reminder that even in repose, he commands the world. The waters around him swirl and boil as he pauses, scanning the horizon. Waves crash violently, then calm, as if the ocean itself obeys the rhythm of his heartbeat. Godzilla's eyes, molten amber and ancient, hold a weight no human can comprehend. The memory of battles fought, hunters faced, cities destroyed, and the unyielding power of survival. He is alone, yes, but never lonely. The presence of the universe presses upon him in quiet, invisible waves. Stars beyond reach are watching, their distant eyes noting his endurance, calculating the balance between Earth and all other worlds that might covet it. On land, humanity's reconstruction is slow, cautious, tinged with awe and fear. Soldiers walk among crumbling towers, engineers lay foundations over the scars of fallen buildings. Children peer through broken windows at the distant shimmer of Godzilla's form. They whisper to one another, stories growing into legend, of a god who sleeps yet watches, a protector whose wrath is absolute. Yet beneath the reverence is unease, because even in peace, Earth is a planet that has been tested, a world that knows the cost of provoking a titan. The sky begins to shift, clouds forming patterns that echo the scars below. Flocks of birds take flight over rebuilt highways, their wings stirring the dusty air. The faint hum of repaired power grids and machinery rises from settlements, mingling with the distant crash of waves. Godzilla pauses atop a jagged cliff, towering over the terrain, and exhales a low, resonant growl that seems to vibrate through the planet's crust itself. It is both a warning and a lullaby, a signal to all who dwell below and all who might come from beyond that Earth's boundaries are alive, observed, and defended. Far above, cloaked predator vessels drift silently in orbit, their sensors scanning the planet, analyzing data from the hunter's past engagement. Mandibles flex, clicking softly, as elders and war councils debate the outcome. The choices of the lone hunter, the one who honored restraint over killing, have reshaped interstellar law. Earth is no longer merely a hunting ground. It is a world under protection, a living trial that even the most audacious predators will weigh carefully before challenging. The lesson has been written in ash and blood. The king is not merely a monster, but a sentinel, a boundary no hunter should cross lightly. Back on the surface, Godzilla lowers himself into the surf, massive tail stirring water into great arcs that sparkle in the early sun. Foam bubbles around him as he surveys the horizon, scanning not just for threats, but for the fragile pulse of a planet that has endured unimaginable violence. His form is imposing yet calm, wounded yet unbroken, a living monument to the balance between power and restraint. Around him, the oceans whisper, tides turning gently, carrying debris from the past battles and the faintest hints of human life adapting anew. A sudden gust carries a sound across the waves, the echo of distant engines, a memory perhaps of the hunter's departure. Godzilla turns, sensing rather than seeing a ripple in the air that speaks of beings beyond the planet. Yet he does not move to confront. He does not strike. He remains, sentinel and judge, embodying a lesson written over continents. Even gods can be left alone, but never unobserved. The knowledge of watchers near and far hangs in the air like a thin, unbreakable thread connecting Earth to the wider universe. Humans on the shore pause to watch him recede, whispers of myth and caution spreading from mouth to mouth. Engineers, soldiers, children, all feel the weight of survival, the debt paid in fire and fury. Cities may rise again, bridges may be rebuilt. Life persists, fragile yet stubborn, tethered to the rhythm of the king's presence. The world breathes collectively, holding on to the balance that Godzilla represents, aware that the slightest disturbance could awaken forces beyond imagination. And yet, in this fragile equilibrium, there is hope. The hunt has ended, but the legend begins. Across oceans and continents, across stars unseen, stories will travel of a titan who endured, a hunter who honored restraint, and a planet that survived because its protector remained. Godzilla turns fully into the sea, dorsal plates cutting through water and light, and with each colossal step, the world senses a promise, vigilance tempered by wisdom, power tempered by restraint. The camera of the universe lingers on him for a heartbeat, a titan alone yet unyielding. Waves lap at the shattered coastline, clouds drift slowly overhead, the wind carries whispers of possibility and caution. The hunt is over, Godzilla remains, and the legend, the story of gods, hunters, and the fragile world they shape, has only begun.